Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you guys are making it here. I'll let everybody kind of come on in. As you're coming in, do me a favor, go over there in the chat box where it says chat and let me know where you're coming in from. Frank knows the drill. Frank in Las Vegas. See your brother there. So it's under the, I guess it's under the questions box, not the chat box. John from Boston, what's happening? Good to see you. Again, as you're coming on, do me a favor, go into the question box. Just let us know where you're coming in from. John from Boston. We got Nathan from Boise, Sean from Montana, Eddie from Garland, Texas. Then we've got Delaware, Phoenix, Minnesota, New Orleans, Fairhope. What's up, brother? Bob LaChance, what's going on? Kansas City, Chicago, Ocala. Oh my God, we got lots of people coming in. This is awesome. All right, good. Irvine, back at you. Love it. Vic and Raleigh. Chuck from Central Texas, Indiana, Sacramento. Leon from Greensboro. Rick from San Diego, right here in my hometown. Jeff from Tacoma. Well, welcome, guys. Welcome. Bill is coming in from Houston. Massey is from Pomona. All right. Well, glad you guys have made it here. I'm excited to have you here. We're going to have going to spend probably an hour and a half kind of talking about an important topic, probably never been more important than right now. I'm going to introduce you to a guy by the name of Tony Dixon here. And Tony and I have been working together for the last, actually, ironically, we've been working on this for the last several weeks on something we put together to help our clients in REWW to go and get access business credit right now. And it just so happened, of course, the entire world went to shit in the last 10 days. And so what we knew was going to be very, very helpful to everybody in this community has now become even more relevant and more prudent and more of an opportunity for everybody here to kind of improve their current situations. And so I'm excited that you guys are here. I'm excited to share this with you. Excited to kind of break it down exactly what you need to be doing right now. Some of the, you guys have heard me talk a lot certainly over the last 2 weeks about it's really important that you are, one, improving your skills, but two, that you are improving your situation, right? I spent a lot of time talking about whether you focus on the obstacle or the opportunity. It really doesn't matter because you're going to get a lot more of what you focus on. And so I know a lot of people out there, I'm sure we all know them, that are really focused on the obstacles and life is tough and there's a lot of stuff in front of them that they're trying to deal with. Hell, we're all trying to deal with it. Whether that's trying to right size a business, having to lay off people, having to cut people's pay, having to get your own finances in order, having to figure out exactly where you stand and what you're going to do inside of your business. I mean, we're all dealing with the exact same situation. The challenge is that for a lot of people, when they're dealing with that situation, they have a tendency to get very, very overwhelmed and not really focus on the things that will not only keep their business alive, but make their business thrive for now and for many, many years to come. And that's the key here, guys, right? I want to be really clear with everybody that the entire point of all of these trainings, all of these webinars that I'm doing, all these lives that I'm doing, these guests that I'm bringing on like Tony are they're all down the same lane here. And that is to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you because there are plenty. There are opportunities to reconnect with your family. There's opportunities to reinvigorate your business. There's opportunities to get your business healthy. There's opportunities that are certainly coming in the real estate space on the buying side and on the selling side that are coming down the line. But none of that matters if you get overwhelmed and you get so sucked down the rabbit hole that your business ends up dying. And I put out a post today about making sure that you keep your head in the game and making sure that you are continuing to market, because if you don't market, I can assure you, you don't continue to invest your money and your time wisely, then you are signing the death warrant for your business. And by virtue of you being here, I know that is not something that anybody on this call wants to be doing. So I applaud you for continuing to educate yourself. I applaud you for seeking information. And I further applaud you for taking the actions that are necessary to make sure that your business is around for a long, long time. That's what this is all about. I've been here, as some of you have as well. I went through this in 2008. And I can tell you that all the decisions that you make in these moments are going to prove to be very, very more important than you would probably be comfortable with. These decisions matter. Aligning yourself with people that can help fund your business, aligning yourself with good business partners, aligning yourself with good mentors and coaches right now is extremely relevant. Probably more than at any other time in your business. This is what gets you through the tough times, is continuing to educate yourself and continuing to really push out and get the information and the knowledge and ultimately comprehend that knowledge to a level where you're willing to act and you can act confidently. So again, hats off to everybody. What's going to take place tonight is, like I said, we're going to spend roughly about an hour, maybe a little bit more together. We're going to go through exactly how funding can be set up for your business right now in real time, what that looks like, how you can start taking action right now to get that done. Ultimately, if we have time at the end, we'll answer some questions for you. But I again want to invite you to make sure that on each and every one of these that you keep tuning in, you keep coming back, and you keep getting this knowledge that we're trying to share. I'm actively grabbing as many of my mentors and as many of my partners and getting them on these calls as fast as humanly possible. So continue to stay in. Now, as is the case with almost all of us, listen, we're here. We're stuck at home, not much to do. So let's really give your undivided attention here. Not many people realize that my business ultimately was born out of this type of situation. In 2008 is effectively when Find Cash Buyers Now, a piece of software that we developed that kind of took over the industry and kind of created all this cash buyer database and vacant property database. All of that came out of this company, by the way. All of the kind of the knockoffs that you see out there, they all were born out of this idea. And that idea was born out of this type of time, right during the recession. I was trying to survive, and the only way I knew how to survive was align myself directly with cash buyers and start doing deals. And so that is the genesis of how all of these data products that have kind of come out now, out of our own company and others, they were born right now. So this time is really important. So I want to encourage you to take really good notes tonight. I want to encourage you to shut the door, get all the distractions out of your way, turn your phone off or get it out of the room, get social media down, close all the other tabs down, really focus here like your business depends on it. If you do that, you will be shocked at the value that you will receive out of tonight. I have no doubt that you're going to find the information extremely compelling and highly actionable on what you should be doing right now. And again, I cannot stress to you enough, a business now, today, REWW, that does tens of millions of dollars every single year, and that has nothing to do with our investing business that does hundreds of millions of dollars, were born out of these exact times right now. 2008, in the recession, this was kind of how it all crystallized and came together, and we exploded on the scene, and we sit here now as authorities in the business because of it. You can imagine where you will be 10 years from now if you will just really get very intentional with the things that you're doing and the information that you're receiving and taking action on. So with all that said here, Tony, are you on the line here, brother?
I sure am. Can you guys hear me?
Well, I can hear you, man. So before I kick it off to you and hand it over to you, I want to introduce you guys to Tony. Tony and I met a couple months ago. Tony's been in the funding side of the business for, 10 plus years. He's literally taught over 50,000 individuals exactly what he's going to teach you guys tonight. He's worked with entrepreneurs, real estate investors from all over the country, if not all over the world. He is definitely regarded as one of the best credit and funding experts in the country right now. And I'm excited to have him here. Like I said, I think this is very timely. Tony and I have partnered up. We put some stuff together. As I told you, we've been working on this for a while now. But ironically, as we were getting ready to kind of introduce it to the entire world, wouldn't you know it, the entire world went to shit. And so now it's even more relevant than it's ever been, right? I mean, timing's everything. We're literally getting ready to roll this out and introduce this to everybody and kind of show people how to get this done. And before you know it, now it's top of mind for just about everybody that's out there. He's going to show you how to obtain funding right now from over 3,000 business vendors out there, as well as a lot of other lines that are available to you right now, how to obtain working capital like he's done for over 20,000 people, and how to build a business credit score, which is really relevant right now, because as the lenders are coming out, they want to be loaning money to the businesses as much as they want to be loaning money to individuals, right? And a lot of times when we fall in difficult times, our individual credit may actually get compromised, but our business credit doesn't have to at all. And so he's going to walk you through that, navigate all that with you right now, kind of show you what all that looks like. And again, I want you guys to pay really close attention, take good notes, and if we have time at the end, then we will certainly open it up for some Q&A. So Tony, I'm going to let you take it, brother, here. I'm going to mute myself. If you need anything, I'm right here, so just don't hesitate, okay?
Right on. Thank you so much, Kent. And I second everything that Kent just said. To everybody on this webinar, I mean, we've never seen a time like this. It's a weird, wild time, and more important than ever, we need to be thinking about each other and our businesses. And that's why this topic is so imperative to us right now. And I'm so grateful that Kent was willing to put this in front of you guys, because this truly could be a make or break thing for many of you, especially in this weird time. And like Kent, when he was saying his business was born in the last crisis about 12 years ago, that's really where this came from as well, with this funding that we're going to be talking about tonight. I've been in this space for about 12 years, and that's where ultimately that last recession is where all of these concepts that I'm going to share with you tonight did ultimately come from. And so we're going to be talking a little bit today. Like I said, my name is Tony Dixon. I have been in this space for, like I said, 12 years, worked with tens of thousands of individuals, from one-on-one conversations to webinars like this to live presentations. And we've worked with, like I said, tens of thousands of clients all over the United States, up in Canada, actually helping them secure funding and build a business credit score that truly matters. And to Kent's point, that is more important now than it has ever been. I mean, you go back 3 weeks ago, this was a really powerful topic. But now where we're at today, this is where no matter what's happening in the world, we want to be able to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row from a financial standpoint. So regardless of where you're at in your business, whether you're just getting started or you are a seasoned professional, we want to make sure that you have the ability to go out there and secure the funds that you need. So on the screen, you're going to see that phone number. Make sure to jot that down, guys, so that way you know how to get a hold of us. So during the presentation, you're going to be able to learn a lot of things that I've taught tens of thousands of clients. I'm going to condense it down into this presentation and give you guys some actionable items that you can start putting into play as early as tonight when we're done. But I want you to be able to have access to get a hold of us, because Kent puts out amazing content and he is helping thousands of individuals make an enormous difference. And this is just going to be one more tool that he's going to be putting in his tool belt of education and financial resources that he can then share with you. So I'm really excited that you guys are here. The fact that you guys are taking this time means a lot to us, because we all know that the term and the phrase time is money. But in all reality, time is actually precious. Even though time is money, time truly is precious, because it's that one commodity that we can't get more of. And the fact that you are taking tonight to spend with us, now that says a lot about you, and we understand that. We want to respect that time. So I intend to deliver high quality content that is actionable, that will help you develop and build that business. Now, one of the last ventures I did, just to kind of let you know where I've been in this journey over the last 12 years, I actually partnered up with Damon John from Shark Tank, and he has his online training platform called Damon On Demand. In this is where he takes all of the lessons that he's learned over the years and teaches his entrepreneurs how to build and scale a business, clothing business, whatever. But in there's a chapter on building business credit. And he actually brought me in as his credit expert. So someone was able to snap this shot of me. Great timing on that one. But the reality is through that platform, I've been able to teach thousands of people through this platform alone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the information that I shared with Damon and his clients, and I'm going to do the same thing for you guys tonight. And I truly intend to give you information that will make a difference for you in this world. Now, this handsome devil right here, Warren Buffett, arguably one of the best investors of our time, said the best investment you can make is in yourself. And I am a firm believer in this quote. And you know that he is worth a tremendous amount of money, one of the richest people in the entire world. Yet he is constantly making investments in himself, in himself. And the fact that you guys are taking that time, like I had mentioned a minute ago, you're taking your night to shut the door away from your families, away from other work that's probably pressing, to be able to be here with us, and we appreciate that. Those investments that you make in yourself are not always money. We obviously know that we do make investments in ourselves with money, and we typically, connect money and investments, and that's very true, and that holds true and rings true. But the investments of emotion and time are also very, very valuable, and we know what you're investing in yourself right now. And so we do want to be able to give you information that you can take from this webinar, put into action, and make some differences and changes for yourself. Now, back in the day, I made a similar decision to do that. Much like you guys spend time with Kent and learning from him, I had the opportunity to learn directly from Zig Ziglar. So I actually made the financial investment, the time investment to go meet with him before he passed away. One of the things he said was, success is doing the best we can with what we have. Now, that week that I spent with Zig, what I think he was trying to teach me was, we don't all have access to the same resources. Not all of us have a rich relative. Not all of us have a neighbor or a friend who's connected to the real estate market. Not all of us have someone like Kent in our lives that can guide and direct us in this world. But you guys on this webinar do have access to people like Kent. And what I want to do today is I want to give you guys a new piece of information that you guys will be able to do something with. Because what I think Zig was trying to teach me that time that I was with him was, listen, everybody's got different resources. It's not an even playing field out there. But when you do get something new, like information or a new skill set or a new idea, what you do with it is what makes the difference. It all comes down to what actions you're willing to put behind that. And so I'm going to teach you about business credit tonight, and I'm going to teach you a couple ways on how to get access to money through a number of ways. What you do with that is going to determine how successful you are with these concepts. Now, if you just listen, take notes, and you kind of file that away in the back of your mind, sure, you're more knowledgeable, and that is good. That's good to have that. But when you take that information and combine it with action and do something to make that difference, like Kent was saying at the beginning, that's where you can really change the trajectory of where you go from this point forward. Because we are in a weird time, and the decisions you are making right now can set the path of what the next couple months or even years look like for you. Now, when we're looking at funding by the numbers, we have a couple different ways that we work with our clients, whether it's through working capital or business credit, and I'm going to talk about both. Now, to date, we've worked with over 20,000 plus clients, raised over $2 billion since that last recession, and our average client who meets some of the credit criteria that I'm going to go over with you, the average person ends up getting roughly $70,000 of working capital that they can use in their business. Now, that money comes directly from banks, and so we're able to make introductions where you can get it at 0% interest. And so that money can be used at 0% for the next 1 to 2 years for your business. And so if you're flipping homes, rehabbing homes, wholesaling, whatever approach you're taking in the world of real estate or running a business, that is capital that you can put into action right away. Now, we're also going to talk about the business credit side of things, where we're going to show you how to get access to over 3,000 different lenders in the world of business credit and over 4,000 vendors that are willing to work with businesses that have a solid business credit profile. So I'm going to talk tonight about how to get a business credit score that actually matters, because there is a difference between your personal score and what we're going to talk about tonight, which is going to be the business score. Now, here's a success story from one of our clients. This is Brooke from California. She said, I received $97,000 in working capital for my wholesale clothing business, and I'm using my supply credit for shipments and sending catalogs. My business is growing like never before. My revenues are now growing exponentially due to the ability to access the working capital I needed when I needed it. See, what's key about what Brooke said is having access to capital when she needed it. See, typically people are behind the ball when it comes to money. They're looking for money after they already need it. And that's okay if you're in that space. It just, we want to get you ahead of the curve. So you're getting the money before you technically need it. So when you actually do need it, it's already there waiting for you.
Now, I've also had an opportunity to work with Grant Cardone. Grant is a guy that knows money. And so we actually ran a similar webinar to where I was a co-host with him talking about these business concepts. But one of the things that Grant would always say was, there's no shortage of money in this world. You just got to start hustling. And ultimately what Grant is saying here is he wants you to go out there and start taking action on the things that will lead to getting access to capital. And that's exactly what we're spending tonight doing, is I'm going to show you an exact path on how to get access to money, because at the end of this webinar, you will have a clear path on how to start getting access to capital. Well, no matter what, if you're on this webinar, every single person here will have a path to do that. Now, here's another success story that we have from Alvin. Oh, sorry about that. So Alvin said, my plaster business was limited to a minimum bid of $25,000 from the state of Nevada. He was able to secure $130,000+ in credit lines, allowing his business to now qualify for jobs up to $250,000. That's 10 times bigger than his size. And so ultimately, Alvin's shown us that money begets money, and having access to capital will lead to larger amounts of money that he can then get through this business. Now, one thing that Damon has always told me that always stuck with me was control where the money comes from to control your business. Now, we're going to show you how to control where your money's coming from and put you in total control of that money. So we can actually get you connected with vendors and national banks that you could potentially tap into to get this capital, but once you have it, you control it. And we're going to show you how to do that. Now, Brian and Myra, these are a couple of real estate investors out of Chicago. They were able to access just over $220,000 in credit funding. They put it into action. They put $185,000 of this capital into action immediately. The year we ended up getting this was a couple years back. They ended up going from 1 flip to 10 flips that year. And so that was something that they were able to put into action right away. Now, we're going to talk tonight about filling your financial tool belt and how to obtain unsecured funding. Now, I started early on in my career in construction, and this is what my first tool belt looked like. I had no experience, didn't know what I was doing, but I found myself on a construction site knowing that I wanted to know what everybody else on that site knew. Now, many times when I talk to individuals nowadays, this is what they feel like their financial tool belt feels like. And so the purpose of our webinar tonight is to fill that tool belt with a few more financial tools. So when I was in construction, because I didn't know how to frame a house, I didn't know how to run electrical, I didn't know how to do the plumbing, what I ended up doing was I offered my services for free, kind of like an apprentice to some of these other guys on the construction site. They got free labor, I got free information. And so after a couple summers of doing that, this is what my tool belt eventually looked like. Again, this is what we want your financial tool belt to look like. And so we're going to drop in a few new tools through business credit and working capital of things that you can start implementing, should you choose to take that action. Now, some of the obstacles that we are going to run into, these are the types of questions or concerns that come up when I talk to individuals. A lot of them say, well, listen, money is a concern. Well, absolutely. I totally understand that, but that's the whole concept of what this webinar and this training is about, is how to overcome that concern of money and actually start getting more of it. You get what you focus on, like Kent was saying. We want to focus on actually getting money, not losing money. And we know that there's enough chaos out there. There's enough noise on the news to scare us out of our wits. Let's be positive about this and talk about how to get more of it, be affluent and draw it in that sense. Another obstacle that tends to get in our way is time. Now, over the last couple of weeks, that may be a little different. We may have a lot more time on our hands because we're either displaced or we're working from home. And so it does give us a little bit more time to put into action some of these tools and tactics that I'm going to teach you tonight. Another concern that people have is their ability to put into play what I'm going to teach you. Now, we've actually simplified this entire process. So when it comes to ability, confusion, and fear, those last three, we've actually mapped it out for all of our clients to eliminate their concern about whether they can or can't do it, because it's mapped out for you. The confusion behind it can be very confusing. In fact, when we're dealing with business credit, if someone were to go out and try to build business credit for their company on their own, it's a process that could take 2 to 5 years as you go through the trial and error process of trying to figure out how all of these different pieces work.
we've tried to eliminate the confusion that goes along with that and simply systematically put together the steps that you need to do, one building on top of the other. And that eliminating that confusion tends to eliminate the fear as well, because that fear of the unknown or fear of failing is then lessened, if not removed, simply because we have it mapped out. Now, one thing that I will suggest is really focus in and harness on your why now more than ever, because again, there's enough out there, especially on the media, that's trying to scare us, and it's serious what's going on out there. But if you hold on to your why, it allows you to focus on the reason why you do what you do. Now, it's hard enough when it comes to investing and being an entrepreneur and building your own company. But that combined with the current economic state, your why will be a rock solid, stronghold for you to keep you focused and kind of push through these hard times. You've got a great community here with Kent. You've got great people around you. We want you to succeed, but hold on to that why. My family is my why. This is my wife and kids. This is Kylie, Brooks, and River, and I love them to death, but they are my reason to do what I do. They are my why in all times, especially now. So hold on to that, write it down, remind yourself daily what that why is, and that will give you added focus and strength with, in good times and bad times. Now, when it comes to the training, we are actually going to be offering, an opportunity for everybody where we're going to actually show you how you can potentially get pre-qualified based on certain credit conditions. But I'm also willing to give access to an ebook on business credit that reviews everything I'm talking about tonight and goes in even deeper. So this ebook is called 50K in 50 days, or 50 days to 50K in funding, where I actually review everything that I'm talking about tonight, plus going much deeper into the personal and the business credit intricacies that go into that. And I'm willing to share that with people. So hang tight till the end of this webinar, and I'll show you exactly how you can get access to that. Now, on this webinar, what we're going to break down is we're going to go through a breakdown of what business credit actually is. We're going to do a detailed breakdown of the first steps in building a rock solid credit score. We'll talk about how you can get pre-qualified for funding, and we're going to learn how to structure the right business entities for what you're doing here. Now, many times when people want to start taking these steps in building business credit, they have no idea what steps to take. Maybe you've already set up your business, maybe you haven't. Maybe you haven't gone through those steps to incorporate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down what business credit is, how to do it, and the quickest and most effective way to start getting access to this capital. Now, I've taken the opportunity to come up with some alternative financing options. Obviously, this is in jest. Maybe you know a guy, put it all on Reddit if you're in Vegas, begging, buried treasure. Obviously, these are ways to get money, and if there's a way to get money to close a deal and it's a good deal, you look at all options. But if you go more the traditional financing route, you're going to be looking at banks, home equity lines of credit, private investors, hard money. Maybe you're independently wealthy, and if you made it there, good on you. But which one of these are you using? Quite frankly, you can and should use all of them if you can. We want to throw business credit into the mix as well. But when looking at those, here's a kind of a comparison. If you're looking at bank loans, you can get really good rates. They go up and down, but generally they're good rates. But typically it's a time-consuming process, and it's typically one deal at a time. If you're using a home equity line of credit or HELOC, basically that's a revolving line of credit that you have access to, but it's leveraged against your house. So the pro is that you can use it, pay it back, use it, pay it back. So it's accessible. But you are leveraging against your actual asset of your home. So your home's at risk. So you always want to make sure that you're making good investments. Hard money or private money, this is a great one as well. Definitely tap into that because, obviously there's, covering the cost of a deal can be, some of those deals may be high. And so a majority of people can qualify for them because it's based on the deal itself, not necessarily the individual. But there is a cost to using hard money, so just make sure that you can factor that into the deal itself. Maybe you're using self-directed IRAs. There are some great tax benefits for that long-term future retirement, but again, you are using future retirement money, so make good decisions because your future retired self may, look back and be sad based on these decisions and how they play out. When you throw in business lines of credit, it actually takes all of these where you can have really good rates. They can be as low as 0%. It's revolving. A majority of people can qualify. So when you're working with working capital, we'll look at certain aspects of your personal credit. But on the business credit side of things, it's every single person who owns a business can qualify for business credit, regardless of your personal credit situation. There are tax benefits because you're now a business owner, which means you're going to be able to start taking advantage of some of the tax deductions that are out there. The downfall of business credit is you're dealing with multiple lines of credit, not just one place where you're getting the money. So it can be a little bit more complicated to manage, dealing with, multiple lines of credit rather than just one. But overall, there are going to be advantages and disadvantages to either of them. What we found is business lines of credit, through what we're talking about tonight, tends to be the most beneficial for our clients. Now, a question I get is, why build business credit? Well, first and foremost, these funds can be used to scale and expand your business. You do get access to OPM, which is other people's money. So you're going to be able to use money from the banks or directly from other business vendors. So to give you an example, let's say, for example, you need to step up your game when it comes to your office supplies. You can now, if you've established a good business credit profile, you can go to companies like Dell or Apple Computers, and in your business name, start getting access to computers and office supplies and have it be run through credit or lines of credit or getting term payments on stuff like that in the business name. So that's OPM, other people's money. If you're flipping homes, you can go to a lumber supplier and say, hey, I've got this home I need to flip. You can get access to lumber through them. And if you've established a good business credit score and a good business credit profile, you could potentially get access to anywhere from 30, 60, or even 90-day payback terms, meaning they give you the lumber, you fix up that home, put it back on the market, maybe sell it, but you have 90 days from the time they gave you that wood to then pay them back. And that lumber supplier is willing to do that because you have a good credit score in your business and they trust that you'll pay them back. Some other reasons is the money is accessible. So if you need to make decisions quickly, you can do that effectively right on the spot. Sometimes you find deals that need to be made, you need to make an offer right away. This could put access to capital. You can have access to capital that makes you, puts you in a position where you can make those decisions quickly. It will minimize your personal liability because you're now not only creating asset protection by setting up your LLCs and corporations, but also creating financial separation by getting the money in the business name rather than your personal name. The money is revolving and can be at 0% interest, so it actually makes it much more effective to use. It's versatile and can be used for just about anything or in conjunction with other funding. What I mean by that last one is, let's say, for example, you've got a hard money lender who's willing to fund 80% of a deal that you bring to them. Where's that other 20% going to come from for your cash down payment? So you have some skin in the game. Plus, on top of that, your rehab budget. So you can use working capital for your cash down payments, plus your business credit to leverage access to the rehabbing budget through the name of the business. Now we're going to jump into how this works. But first, what is business credit? Let's first establish what it is. We've been talking a lot about it, why it's so good. Let's tell you what it is first and foremost. So a business can have a credit score just like you personally have a credit score. So the best way to describe this is your company, your LLC, your corporation. What happens is it's like when you first open it up, it's like a 16-year-old kid. It's a teenager. It's got zero credit history. There's no credibility there. Essentially, your business is not very bankable, if at all. And it's like a 16-year-old kid who goes out and tries to buy his own car. If a kid at 16 years old goes out and tries to buy a car, yet he's never had a credit card, he's never had any form of credit history, the chances of him actually getting approved for a car loan are slim to none. So what happens is your business starts at zero when it comes to building business credit. But what's really cool is it can build a credit score just like you do. So your personal score is attached to your social security number. And you're then given what's called a FICO credit score, a Fair Isaac Company credit score. Now, if you have a FICO score of 720 or above, you have a good credit score. 720 and below, you're either in the kind of the mid range to low range. Now that when you get down to the low 600s to 500s on the personal side, you have a bad score. And you're going to be dealing with companies like TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. That's the personal credit world. On the business credit world, rather than using your social security number, you're going to be using your business's tax ID or EIN number. And that's then linked to get an IntelliScore or a Paydex credit score. So it's a totally separate rating system. You're also going to be dealing with Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, or Equifax for business. And the rating system's on a 0 to 100 scale. So an 80 or higher is actually really good. 80 and below is where you start getting, less good. And so it's a totally separate system of rating and tracking your business's credit profile. Now, a question I get a lot is, why should I build business credit? Well, three main reasons that we look at. Number one is it can give you access to larger capital lending markets that with revolving credit lines that you can see in as little as 10 days. It will minimize your personal liability and financial risk, and it can potentially put more profit per deal in your pocket, because if you're getting this money at 0% or you're borrowing money OPM through trade lines of credit and vendor credit, it allows you to have cheaper money that you have access to when you're doing your deals. Now, I've broken this system into 4 steps. This is where you're going to want to start taking some notes, and we have 2 ways to get access to money. One is going to be through the working capital. This is a quick way to get access to capital. We're also going to be talking about business credit, so it's strictly in the name of the business. That way you can then start tapping into a whole new market of funding. Now, ideally, you're going to use both. But by the end of this presentation, I will show you a clear path that every single person on here will have the ability to tap into some form of funding if they choose to. So step number 1 in this 4-step process, you have to establish a business entity. Now, obviously, to build business credit, you have to be an actual business. Now, you can do that through either C Corps, S Corps, partnerships, or LLCs. So moving forward, I'll just reference it as an LLC. It's the easiest. But we've got a great partner, Prime Corporate Services. They do a great job in helping clients set those entities up. So if you haven't done it already, definitely work with them. Call into the office, reach out to us, and they can help you out. But here are some of the benefits that you're going to be able to tap into when it comes to setting up a business. You obviously get the separation of personal assets from business assets. You're getting asset protection. You also get tax deductions that are reserved for businesses that you can't get as an individual. And as a business, you're going to be able to tap into a whole new world of funding for companies. Now, once you've set up your business, you're going to go on to step number 2, which is business registration and lender compliance. What I mean by business registration is this. When you open up your company does not automatically show up on the radar for the business credit bureaus. So Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. Now, you actually need to reach out to them and get your business registered with them so they know you exist as an actual company. If you don't do that, you don't show up for them. In fact, I've talked to businesses that have been open for 5 or 10 years, and the owner will come to me and they'll say, hey, I've got a business that's been open for almost a decade. I've got credit cards in the name of the business, I'm good. And I'll ask them, have you ever registered your business with any of these business credit bureaus? And they'll say no. So inevitably, we'll look it up and they essentially have 0 credit profile because they've never taken this essential step of registering their business with the business credit bureaus. Now, the second part of this step is lender compliance. Because you see, what happens is banks and lending institutions, they have an underwriting process where they have over 20 different checkpoints that they have to look at to see if your business is bankable or not. And if you miss any of these steps, just one of them, they can turn you down in a heartbeat. Now, the problem is many business owners don't even know what those steps are. All they get is a declined letter or the I'm sorry, we can't work with you letter from these banks or lending institutions. Because quite frankly, that new business or even the business that's been open for a long time, this is what you look like to the banks. They have no idea whether you are responsible or not, or if you have the ability to pay them back or not, if they can't look up your business's credit profile. If you have not established a credit score for your company, you are a mystery to them and you're high risk and unfortunately unbankable. So there's a few simple things that you can start doing just to make your business look a little bit more professional. So First and foremost, getting that business registered with the business credit bureaus, establishing the business credit score, getting a DUNS number, things along those lines. Then you can actually start getting some trade lines of credit to start reporting on your business credit profile. So an example of this would be, going to Home Depot after you've opened up your LLC. So you talk to Prime Corporate Services, they set you up with your LLC, you then get that registered with the business credit bureaus, you head over to Home Depot, get a credit card in the name of the business, use the tax ID number and use it, pay it back. Go through a billing cycle or two and get something reporting on there. That way it's just not a blank credit profile. But then there's a number of things that you can start doing that a lot of people just don't even think of, like opening up bank accounts and phone numbers. So I'm actually going to go through a couple of these right now just to give you an example of what lender compliance starts to look like. So first and foremost, let's say a business address. Lending institutions and banks are looking for a very specific type of business address when they're contemplating whether they want to give you money or not, or whether vendors want to partner up and let you use their money in a sense. And so that business address is key. Now I'll give you a hint. Don't use a PO box. Okay, the PO box is just a red flag for anybody when it comes to borrowing money. But setting up a business address is going to be a very important part of lender compliance. Having a business phone number in place is very important. Having something that's not your cell phone could be key. And with many of us probably working from home right now, anytime someone calls us, if you have kids or pets, you may have all kinds of noise in the background, kids crying, dogs barking, whatever the case may be. But if you are trying to get money and a bank's doing an underwriting process on you, and they call your business and you answer from your cell phone because you didn't set up a business phone number, and you answer, "Hello, this is Tony," and you have dogs barking, kids crying, you got Sesame Street blaring in the background, that doesn't sound very professional from a business standpoint. So right off the bat, it could raise some concerns with banks or lending partners. So instead, if you had a business phone number, you could then see that business number coming in, and you can be a little bit more professional, where you could answer the phone like, "Hey, this is Tony. Hello, this is Tony with XYZ Investments. How can I help you?" Just simple little things like that can change the way banks or lending institutions view you and your business, regardless of how long you've been open. Having a business website and email that matches. So sorry to say it, the free email services out there, the Gmails and the Yahoos and the Hotmails, that's not going to cut it when going through this underwriting process. They actually want to see professional emails, tony@xyzinvestments.com. Now you can set those up through Google or Gmail. You can set them up through a lot of these different services. Small fee, but it makes you look a lot more professional. Getting all your EIN and licensing in place on a state and local city level, just making sure that all of those are dialed in because they're going to look for it. Having a business bank account set up. Now this is different from your personal account. You do not want to commingle funds, so you absolutely want to make sure that you have a business bank account set up in the name of the business. Okay, you want to make sure that it is exactly in the same name that you registered with the state. And then agency listing. This is kind of tying into that bank account that I was just talking about. Your business needs to be the exact same name every time you apply for anything. That's like personal credit. If I apply for a credit card under Tony Dixon, and then I apply for a second credit card under Anthony Dixon, what you're going to find is that could create two separate credit profiles. Well, if your business is XYZ Investments LLC and you apply for one line of credit and then you apply for a second line of credit under XYZ Investments and you forget the LLC, that could create multiple accounts for your business and then create all kinds of problems in your long-term credit profile building process. And it could limit the amount of money you get long-term. So that is going to be another key part of lender compliance. So now moving on to step 3, this is where it gets actually pretty exciting. Step 1 was set up your business. Step 2 was registration and lender compliance. Now we want to talk about getting funding. Okay. Now there's 4 types of funding that we're going to talk about. Basic trade lines of credit. This is going to be the Home Depot credit cards, maybe Staples, all in the name of the business. So it's reporting to your company. You're actually getting that revolving credit using other people's money. Then there's the advanced trade credit. This is where you can actually start getting term payments, getting, basically a revolving bill or being able to pay back over time in the name of your business. And then we have bank lending. This is where you can actually start getting money directly from banks in the business name. Then if you get to step 4, the investor part of that, you're obviously doing pretty well. From a real estate standpoint, you always want to be tapping into investors because they can help you close multiple deals. And Kent and his whole program can, obviously continue to work with you on giving you some of that information. We're going to focus on the trade lines of credit leading up to getting the bank lending. Now, if you're getting working capital, basically what happens is there is a pre-qualification process and you can co-sign. Now, what I mean by that is you can get an idea of whether you qualify for these funds or not before you actually start approaching banks. And the co-signature part that I'm talking about there is, if you remember, I said your business is like a 16-year-old kid. He's going to get turned down for that car loan that we were talking about. But if mom and dad step in, they've been responsible with their credit, they got a good credit score, they could co-sign with their 16-year-old child and help him get that car loan. And over time, he can make payments on that car loan. It's a more sophisticated type of installment loan. So his credit builds much quicker. And over time, over the next 6 to 12 months, mom and dad could be removed from that business credit, or I apologize, the car loan. And that 16-year-old kid, maybe 17-year-old kid at that point, can now support that car loan on his own. Mom and dad just simply helped him start it. You as a business owner are essentially the mom and dad of your business that has no credit history. So you could, if you qualify, could leverage or co-sign with this new business to get your foot in the door with a lot of these major banks, Chase, Wells Fargo, Visa, MasterCard, Discover. You can build relationships with them, get quick working capital that can be used to operate your business. And then as your business is developing and solidifying its business credit score, you can then introduce your business to that relationship as well and speed that process up. In fact, you can actually, through this process, take a system that takes anywhere from 2 to 5 years and narrow it down to just a couple months. We see people through this process getting access to business credit within as little as 10 days of going through some of these steps that we're talking about and going through lender compliance, business registration, actually building that business credit profile. And so what you can do is you can take those years to build that business credit, or you can actually start getting access to capital now within the next week or two, if you qualify on the business side for the working capital, while also building the long-term wealth of building the business credit profile so you can get stuff in the business name as well. Because what you'll find is the more of this capital you use, the more you'll actually end up getting. So we want to make sure that you have an idea where that, what that looks like and how to do it. But a question we get is how much funding can we get and how long does it take? Well, what we found is the average person who goes to a bank trying to get these funds on their own, generally they're seeing under 20% approval ratings. Through our system, we're actually getting just shy of 99% approval ratings. And the reason we get such a high approval rating is we actually have insight into what banks look at in their underwriting process. And so there are thousands of offers out there that you can tap into. What we're able to do is take a quick look at someone on a personal side if they want the working capital here in the next couple of days. We can take a look and say, hey, based on your credit, of all of the offers out there, we're going to suggest these 3 banks. These are the ones that we already know will work with you. And we eliminate all the no's and go straight to the yeses. And so we actually do have a very high approval rating because of that. Now, if you want to qualify for the working capital, we're looking at 3 general criteria. Number 1, clean credit history, meaning you didn't file bankruptcy in the last 48 hours. We want to make sure that your credit score is fairly clean there. You don't have open judgments or collections on there. We want to make sure that you're using about 50% of your revolving credit or less, meaning credit cards, things like that. And we want to see that your personal credit score is roughly 650 or higher. Now, these are general rules. So there's some simple things that you can do to adjust things around. So it's not a one size fits all, but this is kind of the general guideline. Now, if you're looking at the business credit side of things, we don't even look at your personal credit. Ultimately, we want to see that you've established a business. So you've got your LLC in place, you're lender compliant, and you've optimized your credit profile, meaning you've registered your business with the appropriate credit bureaus. Anyone on this webinar right now who can hear me can apply for this business credit if you've gone through and established a business, you become lender compliant, and you follow the steps to optimize that credit profile. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But ultimately, those are the things to qualify there. Now, let's say, for example, you do have some issues with your credit. You can definitely do credit repair. I definitely suggest going through a personal credit repair process if it needs some work. Better credit on the personal side tends to lead to better lending options, more money that you can tap into, better insurance rates. It can affect your employment. So always a good idea to fix your personal credit. You can also deal with a credit partner, meaning this, if I'm talking to a husband and a wife, if the husband has bad credit and the wife has good credit, the wife could actually get approved for funding. Maybe she gets approved for $80,000, while the husband can't get approved for anything because he has bad credit. They don't affect each other. Now, they don't even have to be family members. If you have, a business partner or a friend who wants to essentially become an investor for you, they could qualify for that, $70,000, $80,000, and then use that money to then become an investor into your business. So they can help you get the money, the working capital immediately. But on the business credit side of things, again, like I just mentioned, regardless of your personal credit, doesn't matter. Every single person can start building the business credit. You could file bankruptcy, within the last 48 hours and still build rock solid, great business credit and still tap into these business credit vendors in the name of the business. And that's what's so cool, especially right now with all the chaos and the uncertainty out there in the economy. No matter what's happening, no matter what happened with the economy, no matter what's happening with your personal credit or your job, your business can still build this credit and still get access to these vendors that I'm talking about. Now, again, the funding by the numbers, we've worked with over 20,000 clients. We've dealt with, average client gets about $70,000 of funding through this process and raised over $2 billion since that last economic shift back in 2008. Now, with our funding with the business, what we're looking at is we have access to over 3,000 lenders and 4,000 vendors that are going to actually report specifically to the name of the business. Now, what that means is at this point, you've gone through, you've established your business credit, you've registered with the business credit bureaus, you're starting to get access to these trade lines of credit. This will actually be reporting to the business rather than you personally through this business credit that we're talking about. Now, we have a platform that actually takes our clients through those steps, and it will get them at least 10 reporting trade lines of credit at $50,000. So, through those 10 trade lines of credit, we're going to start off by getting you to that $50,000 mark that you're going to be able to use of OPM through business credit, meaning it reports to the business name and the business credit profile. And that can be used to help close deals, rehab, or simply operate your business. And that's a starting point because, like I said, the more you use, the more you can get. If we can go from 10 trade lines and $50,000 of business reporting credit here at the beginning, over the next 6 months, year, 2 years, multiple years as you're running this business, that $50,000 could potentially grow to 100, to a couple hundred, to $1 million based on what you do and how responsible you are with it. Because the more you use, the more you can get. The stronger your credit is, the more lenders will be willing to work with you. But that process needs to start somewhere. It won't do it on its own. Now, a question I always get is, what can these funds be used for? Well, some people will say, I just want to pay off high interest credit cards. Saving a couple $100 in interest payments every month is enough for me. Great, you can do that. Maybe you want to show proof of funds when you're trying to close a deal. The working capital can be cash in your bank account, so you can say, hey, I've got the money in there, help you close some deals. It can be used as gap funding. So this could be your 20% cash down payment if you've got a hard money lender that's going to give you the other 70, 80, 90%. You can use it to purchase materials and equipment for deals, operating expenses, rehabbing, house flipping, marketing. Really on the business credit side of things though, the most important one that you're going to be able to use is purchasing materials and equipment for your deals. And so, getting the lumber, the electrical, the plumbing, those types of things with the term payments and dealing with these vendors on the construction side, so you can actually leverage your business's credit profile and solid credit score to get more and more credit, more and more funding. Now, again, this was Alvin who had talked about being limited to how big his deals could be. But because he could then show he had more access to capital, larger amounts of capital, he was then able to qualify for deals 10 times that size. So again, like I was saying earlier with this success story, is the more capital you have, the more opportunities you can potentially tap into. And again, this is what Brian did. He put $185,000 into action right away, flipping those deals. Now I'm going to give you a quick example of what I've done with my working capital and business credit. This is a deal I bought up in Salt Lake City, Utah. This was a property that went into probate. And if you know what probate is, it's when essentially someone passes away, they don't have their trust and will in place, and so the government has to step in and try to divide and liquidate assets. This particular property was in probate for over 2 years because two siblings couldn't come to terms as far as who got the deal or who got the property when their parents passed away. So by the time it came out of probate, we had some very motivated sellers. So I was able to actually pick this property up for $333,000, or roughly $143 a square foot. I knew the comps in the area were going for $210 to $250. I knew I had to have a rehabbing budget, but even at $210 a square foot, I could list it for about $500,000. So what I ended up doing was I took my working capital and put a 20% down payment, or $65,000 cash, on the property. I was able to secure this property. For the remaining part, for the floors, electrical, plumbing, windows, paint, walls, I used my business credit for the rehabbing budget. So all in, I was $92,500 in using my working and business capital. Now, even at a $504,000 list price, I was looking at a potential profit of just over $78,000. Now, this was the before and the after of this particular project. When we got it appraised, it actually came in at $250,000, so the sale price was actually closer to $600,000. So it left a really good profit margin for me. So that's what I did for that particular deal. Here's another real estate deal I used my money on. Now in this particular area, this was where properties were going for $250 to $300 a square foot. Now they're small lots and I couldn't go out, so where's the opportunity? Many of you are probably already looking at it. You got to go up. So we ended up putting a loft on this house. Now at $250 a square foot, I was able to add an additional 500 square feet to this particular property, which potentially increased the property value by $125,000 at $500 or $250 a square foot. Now it cost me an extra $40,000 to do. So for me, it was a great exchange, and I was able to use and leverage my business credit score to actually work with the contractors and the lumber suppliers to actually build out this additional loft. So that $40,000 leveraged with my business credit profile made it very easy to make that decision to say, hey, I'm going to invest the extra money to make those improvements. Now we've talked about the first 3 steps, guys. Set up your business, number 1. Register your business and be lender compliant, step 2. Get the funding, step 3. Step 4 is seasoning your business, which is essentially use that credit, use it responsibly, and make sure it's reporting back to the business credit bureaus, because the more you use, the more you get. And that is an ongoing process. You know, question I always get is, well, when am I done building business credit? And the answer is never. You know, you're always going to want to build and be responsible. It's just like your personal credit score. You don't ever stop building your personal score because it's fluid. It changes on a day-to-day basis. Your business credit score is fluid as well, and you'll always want to be responsible and maintain and build it. So that is an ongoing thing. So just again, the 4 steps: set up your business, get your business registered and make sure it's compliant, get the funding, use the funding responsibly. Now what's very cool is you are in control of this money. Like Damon John said, you know, in order to control your business, you have to control where the money comes from. And we're showing you how to control where that money comes from and put you in control of that money so you can make the important decisions. That house that I showed you as an example, I happened to be walking down the street as it went on the market. I was the first of 17 people to make an offer because we made it right there on the spot, looking through a window. We never even set foot in the property. We just simply knew the value of that property and what it could be. And so we made an offer right there on the spot. We already had our working capital in place. We already had our business credit in place. We were able to make a decision very quickly because we were in control of that money. And you can do the same thing. Now we're wrapping this up. We're going to be taking a few more minutes with you. Basically, what you're going to find is your FICO and your Paydex credit score are separate credit scores. One's for your business and one's for you personally. It is a process. So building business credit doesn't happen overnight, but when you take the right steps, you can see this working very, very quickly. Clients who go through the working capital side can get it, on average $70,000 at 0% for roughly 14 to 18 months on average, while the business credit side getting at least 10 trade lines of credit at a minimum of $50,000. Our short-term goal is get you access to capital now. Our long-term goal is to separate you from the business credit so you personally are not liable for that money long-term. And building that business credit profile is where it all happens. Now, what's next? What can we do? Next steps. Basically, what happens is it all begins with setting up that business entity. You can set up a business entity, and maybe you already have one. If you don't, like I had mentioned earlier, our trusted partners over at Prime Corporate Services can help you do that. LegalZoom, you can do it online. It can get expensive. If you go to an attorney, they're generally going to be at least $600, if not more than that, above LegalZoom. So if you wanted help with setting that up, we can always do a consultation with you so you get it done right. Talk to Prime Corporate Services. Let us know if you want to get a hold of them. When it comes to our software, I had mentioned we have software that shows you exactly what these steps are. So we actually have a business finance suite that gives you worldwide access, meaning anywhere you have access to the internet, you'll be able to tap into our full education system. And so we've actually dialed this in to show you exactly what steps to take in what order so you can effectively build your business credit profile in months rather than years. And so you can actually see money and get access to money right away. This is something that allows you to have that. We actually have business virtual coaches within the software, so you always have someone to work with inside the software itself. We go through all of the lender compliance with you through these virtual mentors. We make sure that you address all 20 checkpoints on that list and address that corporate structure that you do need there. Now, again, funding by the numbers, you can get on average $70,000 when you meet that lending criteria. We've worked with tens of thousands of clients through this process. It is at 0% interest, and you're going to be working directly with banks. If you wanted to see if you get pre-qualified for that money, it's a soft credit pull, so it's a totally risk-free process. If you go to www.rewwfunding.com, write that down or take a little picture of that, you can actually find out if you qualify for the working capital part of funding through everything that we're doing here. It's a very simple way to do it. Soft pull, it'll take you 30 seconds. Okay, and that will show you if you qualify or not for that funding. On the business credit side, regardless of whether you qualify for working capital or not, this is something that will apply to every single person here tonight. If you want access to the 3,000 lenders and 4,000 plus business credit reporting vendors, we have all of that built in to that software platform that I talked about. Simply getting 10 trade lines of credit to that $2 to $50,000 out of the 4,000 plus vendors is something that we can show you exactly how to do, so you can actually hit whatever the economy holds for us in the next couple weeks, months, or years. This will prepare you for what is coming. And that way you can put and stack the deck in your favor as an investor and an entrepreneur and a business owner, so you know exactly how to address these things. Now, if you want to, by doing this, basically what you can do is you can go to rewwfundingprogram.com. So this is a different website, rewwfundingprogram.com. This is where you can go to actually get things set up on the business credit side of things. Like I said, we will pre-qualify you for free, no risk. You'll get full access to our entire business credit platform that we spent years developing, so we can make it simple for you to go through and follow these steps. Simply following one step after another will get you quickly to this working capital, so you can start dialing in and tapping into these resources that we are talking about. We will give you that business credit ebook for those of you who do actually take action on this. And that's something that will review everything we talked about today, plus go into greater detail in everything that we teach on the business credit platform, what it is that goes into that on both business and personal credit. So for those of you who take action today, go to www.rewwfundingprogram.com. You'll get worldwide access to this funding platform that we're talking about from a business credit standpoint. You are going to get credit education on both business and credit means and resources. It is specific to the real estate industry. You're going to have a virtual coach, so you'll have access and help on every step. So from setting up the business to getting phone numbers set up to websites to actually getting registered with the business credit bureaus to actually getting the right funding. So, what vendors do you go to? How do you apply for them? We go through and guide you through all of those steps through this platform. We have over 20 core funding products and thousands of business vendors that you're going to be able to tap into. Now, this product, like I said, I've been teaching this and sharing this with investors and business owners for the last 12 years. The average price that we sell this at is a $2,500 value. We typically sell this at $2,500. Kent has asked us to do something special for you. So it's not $2,500. For anybody who signs up today and works with Kent on this program, we're offering it for $997. And so that's something that you can go to this website that you see on the page or call that phone number and we can get you that discount. You're saving at least $1,500 on the sign up alone. So with that, this wraps up my presentation. Guys, I really look forward to working with you and training and sharing this information on an ongoing basis. I want to thank you and Kent on allowing me to be here. But Kent, I'm going to turn it back over to you so you can take over and share any final thoughts on the process of business credit and business funding through this system.
Hey, brother, I appreciate you doing this. This is great. Thanks for putting this together. I know that, like I said, for those of you that joined us a little late, at the end of the day, Tony and I have been working on this now for the last couple of months. We were introduced by a friend. Once I saw what they were doing and how they were doing it, I knew we had to get this out and get this to our tribe. We started, like I said, working diligently to get this put together. We anticipated pulling this out and showing this to the world, sometime over the course of the next few weeks, but based on current affairs, current status of where we are in the economy, I thought it was very prudent that we kind of get this out right now. I know you worked hard to make sure that this we could put this presentation together, and I really appreciate you doing that. Guys, if you have questions, I want you to go ahead and put them into the question box. Well, Tony, if you will stick around for maybe about 10 minutes, if we got a couple of questions, we'll get them answered. If you don't have any questions, then I want you to go right now and open up a new tab, and I want you to go to rewwfundingprogram.com and get signed up right now. I can't think of anything more important, quite frankly. You guys have heard me preaching this for days now about getting your financial affairs in order, getting yourself surrounded with as much liquidity as possible so that your business can not only survive through times like these, very uncertain times, but actually thrive. Again, I said it at the beginning of the presentation, this coming out of, for those of you that know my story in 2008, basically when the entire industry started collapsing, we had some setbacks. We had to move some people around. We actually had to lay some people off in one of our businesses, but our investing business in particular was doing very, very well. And because we were aligned ourselves with cash, with liquidity, and really kind of the business model, and that kind of brought us around to a place where this education, real estate worldwide, all of our systems, all of our software can ultimately be born. But using these types of strategies are exactly how we made all of that happen, right? Accessing credit facilities, accessing and setting our businesses up, getting partners and people in place strategically that allowed us to, again, kind of exponentially grow. And I'm sitting here today because of all of the decisions I made back then. This is really, really important stuff. I can't think of anything more important right now than making sure that your business thrives. As a CEO, it is not your responsibility to make sure that your business is in okay shape for the next 2 or 3 months. It's your responsibility to make sure it's there for the next 2 or 3 or 23 or 33 years, right? That is your job, is to sit here and make good decisions, sound decisions based on logic, based on information, based on strategic partners that are helping to guide you so that you can not only weather these storms, but that you can actually come out of them much better than when you went in. And so I want to encourage you guys to all go over to rewwfundingprogram.com, and I want you to get signed up. You're going to get a welcome call from our team. We're going to get you going. I've gone through this entire program that Tony's laid out for you. I've been inside of the software going through step by step, and I can tell you There's nothing like it that I've ever seen, and I've been in this business for a long time, where you literally go through step by step by step with a virtual coach right there next to you that is basically telling you, all right, now do this, do this, do this, do this. And it walks you through the process of making sure all of this is set up absolutely in a methodical and strategic way to get the biggest benefit for you. As he said, the average client is getting $70,000. What would that do for your business to be able to access that capital here in just a few short weeks, right? Or even in, some of it in a matter of days on some of the on the vendor side. This is really, really important. And burying your head in the sand and kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that this all goes away and that this, that you'll just figure this out is not a strategy. If you've been writing notes, I want you to write this note down. Absolutely. Hope is not a strategy. You have to make decisions that protect your business, protect your family, and I have to absolutely set you up for the future. So Tony, again, I appreciate you doing this for me. It means a lot to me, brother, and I appreciate you stepping out here. Again, guys, go right now to rewwfundingprogram.com or give us a call at 888-411-1705. That is 888-411-1705. All right, we got some questions here. We're going to try to get to a few of them. You got a couple more minutes here for me, Tony?
Sure thing, bud.
All right, man. First question, this is from Maria. I have a business license. Will I need to apply for a new business license for an LLC, or can I use my current business license? I think we're kind of probably talking a little bit of apples and oranges, but I'll let you take that.
Sure. Yeah, having a business license and actually registering a business with the state, getting a tax ID number are two different things. So our partners over at Prime Corporate Services, they can definitely help you get that set up. But you will need to actually set up your LLC or corporation along with an EIN number. And so that's registered through the city, state, depending on where you go. It's always through the state though. And that would be something that you can set up. Now you can link a business license to a business, but you got to set the business up first.
Okay, so this is from Cassie. It says, can your service procure the same results for a brand new limited partnership as referenced as an acceptable entity earlier in the presentation?
It's a good question. A limited partnership can work as well, and the only business structure that we don't recommend using for building business credit is going to be a sole proprietor. And there's a number of reasons why I don't recommend sole proprietorships, but there's definitely some limitations on the asset protection, some of the tax benefits, but you just can't build business credit. It's not something that creates confidence with lenders. So partnerships, LLCs, corporations do work in building the business credit that we've been talking about through this webinar.
All right, so here's Kelly, and her question is, from start to finish, how long does it take to be established and approved for funding? I know that kind of varies on everybody because everybody's circumstances are different, et cetera, but again, I'll let you kind of expand on that.
Sure. So another good question, and I'll address both types of funding. We talked about working capital, where we're looking a little bit more on the personal side of things. That is something where if you meet the banking and lending requirements that we talked about to get pre-qualified for working capital, you could get approved and have access to capital within 10 days. On the business credit side of things, it kind of depends on how quickly you go through these steps, because getting your business set up, let's assume your business is already in place. You set that up recently. Then it's a matter of making sure that that's registered with the business credit bureaus, which can happen fairly quickly. You can do that in a matter of days. You can then make sure that you're lender compliant. Now, like we've talked about, our software maps out over 20 different steps of lender compliance. It will absolutely happen quicker if you get our help through this platform. If you have to try to figure out on your own or just kind of do some guesswork, it's going to take you much longer. With our platform, we have clients that will go through all of lender compliance, register their business with the credit bureaus in a matter of a couple days to a week. And once you get to that point, you can then start applying for some of those basic trade lines of credit. So by week 2, you could be applying for basic trade lines of credit in the business name that you can then actively be using.
Good answer. All right, so here is from Robert, and I'll take this one. His question is, do we offer a monthly offer? Robert, we already discounted at $1,500. I appreciate the question, brother. The reality is I'm not offering anything on monthly, but if you do call my office there on the number on the screen, 888-411-1705, tell them I sent you. I will tell them to break it up into 2 payments for you if that helps you. And we'll see what we can do to get you on started. We're definitely not doing a monthly here, but we will absolutely help you out and break it up into two payments if that makes it easier for you. All right, this is from Frank. I have more than one company. Can I sign up and get credit lines for each company?
So that's a great question. So getting credit lines for multiple companies, absolutely, because in the example I gave in the presentation, your business is like a teenage kid when you first open it. Each business is a unique business, totally separate from the next, just like each one of your kids is totally separate and will go on to build their own credit scores on a personal level. Every business can have its own Paydex credit score, totally separate from every other business. And so you absolutely can build a credit profile and get credit in different business names based on how credible the business actually is. So to answer your question, yes, absolutely.
Okay, this one's from Michael. It says, does season of the business matter? Also, does the name of the business matter?
So the name of the business doesn't necessarily matter from building credit. I will say the name of the business is important because if you go out and name your business Pepsi Cola LLC, you know that's going to have some significant issues for you down the line because you're infringing on other people's copyright, trademarks, things like that. But when it comes to seasoning your business, yes, it does. It is important to season your business. That last step of using and reporting the use of that business. Look at it this way: if I wanted a strong personal credit score, but I never reported that I made a payment on time. So if I use my personal credit card, I make a payment on time, I never miss a payment, I never have collections, but that never gets reported to TransUnion, Experian, or Equifax, there is no credit score really. I may be responsible, but the credit bureaus aren't able to report that to future lenders that I want to borrow money from. So seasoning your business is what tells people over time that yes, you can be trusted with money and they can feel comfortable giving you money at that time. So seasoning your business is an important part of that, and that's what allows you to then get more funding over time as you use it responsibly.
Great answer. All right, here's from Richard. Is this a done for you package or are you simply supplying the directions and we do the steps? This is a done with you package, Richard. This is, again, Tony and his team have invested millions of dollars in a piece of software that walks you through it step by step with a coach right there that's looking over your shoulder to basically make sure that you are not missing any of the steps, and it's all done in a very strategic and methodical way. But you're definitely going to be the one, or somebody on your team is going to be the one that actually punches the information into the forms and follows the steps. Hopefully that's, Tony, anything you would elaborate on that?
Yeah, and as you can see, we do have those coaches built into every step. And so to Kent's point, we understand exactly what these key parts are and the important steps that need to be taken and the information that you're going to need to do that. So those virtual coaches are going to be teaching you through this entire platform. So before you take a step, we're going to use these coaches to teach you, say, on this step, here's the importance of it. Here's the significance of it. This is exactly how you do it. So you're going to have that guidance on every step of the process.
All right, so here's from Kelly again. If you already started this process with setting up trade lines, can you guys help pick it up or do I need to start from scratch?
So that's a great question. And we have people at all different levels of building their business credit joining our program. Some people have established, like you, already started establishing trade lines of credit. What I suggest to everyone is get into this platform and start inputting your information and start going through the steps as if you're just beginning. You may be able to go through our lender compliance steps in one night and fill in all that information, and then we'll find out where you're at to get you exactly to the point that is going to help you catapult the results that you're getting. So regardless of where you're at, whether you're a beginner and you haven't done any of the steps, or where you're at, where you've already started establishing credit lines, This is for everyone, because once we get you up to speed on what banks are actually looking for, it's going to open up those other opportunities for additional funding and vendor credit.
Okay, here's from Carrie. It says, I have only one business credit card. Does this help to have business credit cards to have business credit, and what is necessary to increase your credit line?
Excellent question. Well, I'll start off by saying that that's a good step. I've seen it many times though, where someone has a business credit card, yet it's still attached to them personally to some degree because they haven't gone through and actually gotten registered and compliant. So first and foremost, I'll always say, listen, you got to get the business registered with the credit bureaus and compliant through our compliance steps. That's when you know you're truly building business credit, not a business credit card that's personal credit backed. And so that's going to be the key part. Now, how to build the credit line, quite honestly, there's a lot of ways you can do it, but the best and most effective way to do it is use it responsibly, pay it back, make sure you have a business credit profile by establishing that business PAYDEX credit score that we're talking about, and use it responsibly. The more you use, the more you get. You know, it's like a kid who gets a $500 credit card. He uses that. Next month, they give him a $1,000 limit. After that, he uses it for a month or two, they give him a $5,000 limit. And so being responsible, using it, it does allow you to increase the amount of credit you get on a line.
So it looks like Leon's got two questions here. So this is software and a virtual coach to learn how to build business credit and working capital for as many LLCs as I want to create. That's his first question. Go ahead.
Correct.
Tony.
So question number one, this software it's designed to run a business through these steps. The information that you will gather and glean from this entire platform is something that can be applied to an unlimited amount of businesses that you have, whether it's one business or 20 businesses. This information that we've gathered, compiled, and put together in this program can be used and duplicated for as many companies as you put together.
And the second question is, so if I understand, it's optimal to possibly get 10 credit or trade lines up to $5,000 each. Basically, that's how he's getting to the $50,000. You want to address that?
Yeah, and so I use that just as kind of a benchmark. You know, when it comes to that, if you were to break it up evenly amongst all of those different vendors, you know, and we're using our minimum benchmark of $50,000 of business credit in the business name, then yeah, $5,000 a piece.
Yep.
The reality
could be more,
in the reality,
less, but $50,000 is kind of where it lands, right?
Yeah, I mean, if someone uses our platform and goes through and follows these steps, you know, through what we're doing here, they'll end up with a solid PAYDEX credit score, at least 10 trade lines of credit, and at least 50,000 of business credit available to them through this process.
Perfect.
Now, the idea is the more you use, the more you get, so that goes up over time.
Yeah, totally. This is from Steve. I think we already answered this, Steve, on another person's question, but if I have multiple LLCs, can I do the program one time and do it myself? Yes, we've answered that one. This one's from Rick. If I have a multi-member LLC, so do all members have to apply?
So not all members have to apply. When getting business credit, you just need it's one of the principles to actually work with getting that and securing those vendor lines of credit. So if you're a principal on the business, you can build the credit.
Okay. Kelly, is this a service you would use ongoing or just to establish business credit? No, this is a one-time fee here, Kelly. If I wanted to, just give me a second, I'm just reading through this. If one wanted to preserve privacy publicly, can one act as a credit partner for a friend's entity? I think the answer to that is yes. It's one of the things you talked about, right?
Correct. You absolutely can.
Okay. Is there a percentage of money given any other fees? No, this is a one-time fee here, Steve. I have an EIN number, but closed my LLC. Do I still have an EIN number? Can we close the LLC?
So the EIN is linked to an active business. If you closed the business, I mean, my first question would generally be in a live setting, how long ago did you close it? If it was more than this calendar year, you're going to want to reset up that business. And again, Prime Corporate Services can help you do that if that's the case. But at this point, if you closed it, we're going to have to go through and reactivate it, especially if it was beyond this calendar year.
Rick, your question is if you have two different entities, do you need two different memberships? The answer to that is no. Is there an email that we can have? Yes, there is customer support, Christina, throughout the software. Also, can we answered that one? Yes. Can you explain the working capital process and how it works? Jorge, we will send out the replay of this, and he explained that in detail back at the beginning. So rather than send on here for another 30 minutes, we will get that to everybody else. Elisa, what's the platform? The platform is at rewwfundingprogram.com. Elisa, if you go there, you'll get a username and password to the system. Our team will reach out and make sure that you got everything you need. You'll log in, and then it literally will walk you through step by step. So Judy, but can you use two different companies from two different companies? In other words, can you borrow? Judy, I'm not sure that I understand that question there. Sorry. How do you access, from Pamela, how do you access your PAYDEX score? How do you know what it is?
So that's a great question. You know, accessing your PAYDEX score, first and foremost, you got to go through and register your business with the credit bureaus for you to exist. And then there are services out there that you can tap into. You can go to a group called nav.com, nav.com. It's a paid service, but you can look up a business credit score if you're curious and you think you already have a score. That would be a decent place to start.
All right, and last question here from Kelly. Although business credit is established separately, if I have a not so good personal credit, can I still get credit for the business?
And the answer is 100% yes. That's what's so cool about this business credit program that we're talking about here with rewwfundingprogram.com is regardless of your personal credit, this business credit is absolutely accessible to you, and it would be a no-brainer to start this program, because even if banks are telling you no because of the personal credit, what we're telling you is absolutely yes. This is a great path to start getting access to that capital.
All right, guys, so I promised everybody I would keep this at 90 minutes, including Tony. He's got to get back to his family. I'm going to get home to mine as well, and I know all of you are trying to probably get back to your lives as well. I want to thank Tony, I want to thank you for coming on here and doing this. I want to encourage everybody to go to rewwfundingprogram.com, get signed up, or give us a call at 888-411-1705. My team will answer your questions, and we will get you set up on the program. Again, it's $997. Normally it's $2,500. You know, and I know Tony has sold it with some of his other partnerships for that for a very long time. So I'm excited to be able to bring this to you at a discounted rate for our tribe specifically. It has been my honor and pleasure to hang out with you again tonight. We will do this again. We're trying to do this, trying to get back into a rhythm here. We're doing this on a regular basis every week, if not multiple times a week, trying to get as much information in your hands as fast as humanly possible. And so again, please stay tuned, stay plugged in. When you see the emails come over, go ahead and whitelist the email address so you get notified and get on these calls. We're trying to get as much information to you as humanly possible. As based on the comments, I know that you guys found this extremely valuable. This is what the way the real world is. You definitely need to be establishing business credit right now, and you need to be getting it set up away from your personal credit, allowing your business to have the liquidity that it needs in order to function through difficult times. But even more relevant is as we get past these difficult times, to have that business credit established so that your business can grow for years on end here, right? So you need to act in the moment. You don't hesitate. Get your questions answered. If you need to get them answered, we've answered a lot here tonight, but if you need more questions answered, just go to 888-411-1705, or just go directly to rewwfundingprogram.com. As I said to one of the questions earlier, if you need us to break it up into 2 payments, we are willing to do that for you to get you involved here and get you moving. As Tony also said, you can have this going, I mean, basically through the the meat of this in just a matter of 48 hours, and then be on to the place where you're actually applying for this business credit. So time is of the essence, right? Time is not your friend right now. You do not have time to sit around and contemplate, and maybe I'll get to it next month or even in 6 months from now or next quarter. You need to be on this today and moving quickly, because it is extremely relevant and it is extremely important to everything that you're trying to accomplish, especially during times like this. Tony, again, man, I appreciate you doing this, brother.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having me, and thanks for everybody for spending the time.
All right, man. Take care, guys, and we will talk to you soon. Again, rewfundingprogram.com or 888-411-1705, and we'll all talk soon. Take care. God bless.